but this is a necessary component in order for you to go stage 2 along with the full bolt-ons.
Perfect.
Alright, what's good everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of MotoGear TV. And for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Kirk, and behind me is my 2011 335i. So for those of you who've been following the channel for some time now, you'll know that I love to modify my 335. Today's going to be no exception. We're actually going to be doing a stage 2 tune on the car using MHD. So I'll be pretty interested to seeing how the car responds to it. We're going to be doing spark plugs as well as doing the tune. The car currently has a stage 1 tune on it right now, but the power just isn't where I want it to be. I'm interested in seeing how the car is going to respond to the stage 2 tune. Now, in order for us to apply the stage 2 tune, the car needs to have full bolt-ons, specifically a front mount intercooler as well as a high flow downpipe. Luckily enough, the car has both of those things as well as a charge pipe, so I'll be interested to seeing how this car is going to now respond with the upgraded tune. Before we flash it though, however, we do need to upgrade the spark plugs, so I got a set of NGK 2-step Coil spark plugs that we're going to be installing as well. I'm going to show you guys the step-by-step process in order to do so, and then after that we're going to turn up the boost and see how the car performs. So stay tuned guys, let's get started. Alright, so this is the engine bay for the 335. As most of you guys should know, this does have the N55 motor, as I mentioned in my 1-year overview video. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Very reliable engine, very responsive as well. This is a single turbo, but it's also a twin scroll. Comparing it to the N54 motors, which has the twin turbo, this is just has a little bit more reliability with just as much fun. Right now we're going to go ahead and start pulling off some of the engine covers, specifically these right here, as well as the airbox, and make our way into the ignition coil so we can change the spark plugs. Alright, so as I mentioned a while ago, we're going with the NGK 2-step holder plugs. This is the part number right here, in case you guys want a reference. I'll leave it in the description as well. But this is a necessary component in order for you to go stage 2 along with the full bolt-ons. From what I've seen, it helps with the spark in order to allow you to run more boost at higher temperatures. Be interested to seeing exactly how it performs. I picked these up from Berger Motorsports. You only need 6 in total, and I also got this wireless adapter from Berger Motorsports as well. This is specifically for the E90 platform, and it'll allow me to tune the car using my phone. Now, along with installing the spark plugs, we also need to gap them as well. We have a little tool that's going to allow us to do so. I'll be able to measure it and make sure that it's down to the right spec. I'll leave the specs for the gap as well in the description. Alright, so right now just gonna take off some of the plastic parts, mainly the engine cover, the airbox, and also the cabin filter cover, and then make our way down to ignition coils. So just gonna do a quick time lapse. Let's get started. Alright, so as you guys can see, we started taking off some of the plastic covers, cabin filter cover as well. Right now we're going to go to the next step, take off the V strut brace on the car, and then from there we're going to head to the ignition coils. Alright, so before we begin, as a good safety measure, always remember to disconnect the battery. You don't have any electrical issues at all. So right now we're just going to disconnect it and then get the process started. Alright, so as you guys can see, Mark is helping me out. He's removing the bracket for the O2 sensor wires, which are right here. As you guys can see,
Just move it out of the way so we can get access to cylinder 5.
Yeah, which is going to be right there in the back. Yeah, next steps after this would be to remove the coil packs. I'm going to show you guys how we do it, and please make sure when you're doing so not to mix them up. The same order you took it out is the same order it has to go back in. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the gapping process. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to do it. I want to make sure that you hold it from the sides, okay? Now, it's a fairly simple process. As I said, this is a gapping tool from Berger Motorsports. How it works is you have to screw this end into it, like so. Just be very careful. You can screw it in about halfway, it doesn't have to be all the way in. I think there should be good. And then basically what you're going to want to do, as you're screwing down this end, in order to bring the gap closer, you're going to want to measure it. Alright, so now we've used the gapping tool, and with these two measurements, 0.09 and 0.011, it's going to give you 0.02, and that's the measurement you're going to need for this engine. Basically what you want to do is, as you're going in incrementally, you want to make sure that you're just having the feeler gauge in between and checking for the resistance. Now, you don't want it to clamp down on the gauge, you just want it to be able to move slightly freely with a little bit of resistance. So we checked the gap previously before putting this in, came out to about 0.028. So right now we just need to bring it down to 0.02. Check it again. And loosen it back. It's gonna turn it this way just to show you guys. So I'm gonna put the gauge in between. So as you guys can see, it's freely moving. Okay, so now we're going to just do about one turn at a time just to check it. Okay, always remember to release the tension as you're checking it. Alright, so as I said, small increments at a time, and basically I think we got it to where we want it right now. So I'm just going to show you exactly what you need to be looking for. Put the gauge in there. You should feel a slight resistance. Now I can kind of hear it. It's very faint. That is what you're looking for.
Alright, so while Kirk goes ahead and gaps the rest of the plugs, I'm going to go ahead and remove the coil packs. So now it's pretty easy to do on a BMW. So all you need to do is lift up on the connector from the back. It's going to pop up, then you rotate, and then it pushes the plug out, and then you just slide it off. Careful not to stress the wires. It comes out like that, and then all you need to do is lift up on this plug. Now sometimes these can be kind of hard to release, so you can use an extension through the center, which will help you to pop it up. But let me try to see if I can do it with just my hands. Careful not to break anything. It's been a little bit tough, so let's try. And this is also kind of hard to do with one hand. Alright, and then it pops out, and you just pull it up, and then there you go. Just repeat the steps for the rest. Alright, so now that we got the coil pack out, we can go ahead and remove the spark plug. So to do that, we're using a Berger Motorsport 12.14mm spark plug socket. This is a specialty socket because it's a thin wall to fit into the spark plug hole, and it also has a magnet on the inside, so when we take the spark plug out, it will stay in the socket, so we don't have to try to fish it out. So we can go ahead, insert it in, wait till it grips on, and then you turn. Also don't want to muscle it too much. Worst thing that could happen is you cross thread the spark plug holes or break the spark plug off in the cylinder. So just take your time, work it out. Eventually it should come out. Okay. Alright, so then you go carefully pull it out. And then just like that, we were successful.
Alright, so next step on the list is going to be to install the new spark plugs. Now, as I mentioned before, everything is gapped. This is the old one. It seems like we had some Bosch plugs in there previously. Condition not too bad. Alright, so as you can see, not too bad, but definitely was on its way to needing to be changed. So now we're going to put in the new ones and get this thing continued.
Alright, so going back in is pretty much the same way. So you want to insert it into the socket, it sticks in, then bring it down into the cylinder. Try to keep your hand straight. When it drops in, you're going to thread it in by hand. So once you finish threading it in by hand, you want to make sure it bottoms out.
Yeah, well for the bottom.
Alright, I'll leave it just like that. Do it again. Yeah, and as you're threading it in, you just want to make sure that there's no resistance, because you definitely don't want to cross these holes. Once it reaches a hard stop, you can pull the tool out, check to make sure it's in properly, and then now we're going to go ahead and torque this down, and then that should be it. Alright, so now grabbing our torque wrench, we're going to torque these to 23 Newton meters or 17 foot-pounds. Just like that, and move on to the next.
Alright, so the process has been going pretty good so far. What we're going to do right now is just finish everything up, put in the rest of the spark plugs, because we're losing daylight. So we're going to just get that done right now and then continue the process.